The devout Inman family seemed perfect from the outside. Every Sunday, they attended church together, but no one in their close circle could imagine what was happening within this seemingly respectable family behind closed doors. William and Sandra Inman met at church back in 1983. He was 18 years old, and she was only 16. With their parents' blessing, the young couple got married. They settled in the small town of Logan in Hocking County, Ohio. Bill Inman considered himself a devout man. He worked as a builder and played musical instruments at the Skinnea Faith Evangelical Church, located near Nelsonville, Ohio. Sandra was a homemaker. A year later, in 1984, their son William Jr. was born. Both father and son had the same name, so to avoid confusion, the head of the family was called Bill, and his son became Will. Years went by, and William Jr. grew up. In 2001, at the age of 17, he met a girl named Summer Cook at church. She was only 15 at the time. Their love story bore a striking resemblance to the courtship of the elder Inmans. Will and Summer remained friends for 3 years, and when Summer turned 18 in 2004, they got married. The newlyweds moved in with Will's parents in a spacious house in Logan, Ohio. In that same year, 39-year-old Bill Inman began to see himself as a religious leader. He transformed his garage into an improvised church and started holding services there. The local residents didn't always approve of the activities of the self-proclaimed pastor, but people began to come to his mysterious garage on the property for prayer, solace, and to make donations. In 2005, the Inman family welcomed their first child, a son named Alex. By that time, the Inman family was facing financial difficulties. Bill's church activities didn't generate much income, so the family decided to move to another state in search of work. In 2006, the Inmans relocated to Florida. There, Bill and Will quickly found work in hotel construction, while Sandra and Summer looked after the home and raised Alex. 2 years later, the Inman family returned to their home state of Ohio. By that time, they had lost their house in Logan due to a foreclosure. The family rented another house in the rural town of Winton. Shortly after their move in 2008, Will and Summer welcomed their daughter Kelly. 2 years later, they had their third child, a daughter named Alana. Almost every weekend, young parents Will and Summer tried to get away from home for a full day of relaxation. Bill and Sandra always supported their son and daughter-in-law. On weekends, the grandparents took care of their 3 grandchildren, who had become the meaning of their lives. In the spring of 2010, Bill Inman obtained a pastor's license, calling himself the leader of the Skinnea Faith Church. Together with his wife, they registered a nonprofit organization called Ranch of Mercy. A man decided that he would help people who had lost their jobs and homes. He wanted to build a big house with his own hands and shelter orphans and widows there. However, there was a problem. The Inman family had no money at all for construction. That's when Bill came up with the idea of organizing a lottery. People would buy tickets, and the proceeds would go towards building the house. At the end, there would be a drawing, and one of the lucky winners would receive the house or $200,000. In addition to this, Bill Inman promised to give away 99 other significant prizes. Local residents began to hear about the lottery through news and advertisements. Initially, Bill personally went door to door, encouraging people to actively participate and buy a ticket. He promised a grand prize and explained that the remaining funds would be used to build a home for the homeless. The cost of one ticket was $10. In total, Inman sold 100,000 tickets and raised $1 million for the construction of the house. The drawing was supposed to take place in September 2010. Meanwhile, in the personal lives of the Inman family, things weren't going as smoothly as in their work. In June 2010, Summer told her husband Will that she wanted a divorce after 6 years of marriage. Shortly before this, Summer made the following entry in her personal diary: I'm so tired of trying to please everyone. I'm tired. Don't I deserve to be happy? Don't I deserve to love someone and feel loved in return? I don't know if it's the right time or not, but I want to tell Will everything. I feel so bad. I think he deserves to know that I no longer want to be with him. I want to be on my own, discover myself, and figure out who I am. Right now, I'm just a slave, running around and following all their commands. I love my kids with all my heart. I wouldn't trade them for anything. I don't want them to grow up seeing their mom just obeying orders. I don't know how Will react to all of this. Maybe he'll get angry, try to take the kids, run away. Or maybe he'll start threatening, hurting me, or worse. I think the kids should see us an equal amount of time. I know Will's parents will fight against me and try to make me stay. But I know that won't change anything. Last night, Will asked me what I want, and I don't know. I only know what I don't want. I don't want to be unhappy and feel trapped. But I couldn't tell him that, so I just sat there in silence. Every day, I just want to cry and sleep. Nothing more. I just don't know how to get out of this situation, so everything will be fine. I hope that when I make the next entry, I'll figure out how to solve it all. Summer filed for divorce and moved out of the Inman home, taking her son and 2 daughters with her, as well as her personal belongings. They moved into Summer's parents' house. She didn't want to deprive the children of their father, so she allowed them to visit him, their grandparents, and their grandmother. 2 months after leaving her husband, in August 2010, Summer Inman started dating a man named Adam Peters. At the same time, Summer got a job at a bank in downtown Logan. She worked as a janitor because she didn't have a formal education. September arrived, and the drawing for the house by the nonprofit organization Ranch of Mercy, owned by the Inman family, was supposed to happen soon. However, by that time, construction of the Price house hadn't even started. September and October passed without any progress. The drawing never took place, and no one provided an explanation. Ranch of Mercy didn't rush to refund people's money. On December 1st, 2010, the Inman family was told that they had to vacate the rental house due to a large rent debt. Upon learning this, Summer came to the Inman house with Adam to retrieve her remaining personal belongings. However, they were not allowed inside. So, Summer called the police and reported that her husband, from whom she was getting a divorce, was threatening her and not allowing her to retrieve her things. When the police arrived, Will and his parents still didn't let anyone into the house. Will threatened to shoot Adam and got into a physical altercation with the police officer. Summer filed a report against her husband. She explained that before they got married, her relationship with Will was perfect. However, after the official marriage, he changed drastically, constantly controlling her and making demands. He told her what and when she should do, including matters related to food, household chores, and intimacy. Summer couldn't go to sleep without Will's permission. He hid her mobile phone and keys. Summer confessed that Will wanted her to have 12 children for him. He dreamed of having a second wife and frequented websites for polygamous families, posting explicit photos there. Summer recounted that Will had threatened to kill her if she divorced him. Additionally, he took her cats and drove them in an unknown direction, later claiming that they had simply jumped out of an open window and run away on their own. He laughed and said she would never see them again. Following Summer's accusations, Will defended himself. He claimed that he took her phone and keys because he suspected she had a lover. As for the cats, he argued that they were wild, damaging furniture, scratching the whole family, so he simply took them to a shelter. Will Inman received a restraining order and was no longer allowed to approach Summer. In addition, he received a fine and probation. At the same time, an active battle for custody began between the two families. The Inman family reported to the police that Adam Peters was a dangerous person who could harm Alex, Kelly, and Alana. And indeed, something terrible happened in Summer's life. Late in the evening on March 22, 2011, 25-year-old Summer Inman was finishing her shift at the bank. After closing, she tidied up the employees' workstations and headed outside to take out the trash. It was already 11 p.m. Summer sent a message to her boyfriend, Adam, whom she was supposed to meet after work. However, Adam never showed up. At midnight, Adam went to the bank where Summer worked. He circled the building and found her belongings in an alley near a trash bin. On the ground lay Summer's phone, keys, and a working music player with headphones. A little further away in the grass, he found her jacket. Adam called Summer's parents and told them about the discovery and the fact that Summer had gone missing. He asked them to urgently call the police. The parents first called the bank and inquired about their daughter, thinking she might have been delayed in her cleanup duties and had lost her phone and personal items. However, the bank security guards didn't know her whereabouts. Afterward, the parents called the Logan Police Department and reported their daughter's disappearance. They explained that Summer had a strict schedule and rarely stayed late at work. The police arrived at the scene where Summer's personal items had been found. 3 witnesses were already there, and they had seen Summer being abducted from that spot just an hour earlier. 2 women who were out for an evening jog recounted seeing Summer go out to take out the trash. A white Ford Crown Victoria pulled up to her, driven by a blonde woman. 2 men in black ski masks got out of the car. They grabbed Summer and forced her into the car's back seat. She resisted, screamed, and called for help. One of the passers-by tried to save Summer, but the blonde driver sprayed him directly in the face with pepper spray, causing him to step back. The car drove away. The 2 witnesses ran to the nearest police station and reported what had happened, but for some reason, the police found these women to be strange and suspicious and believed they had fabricated the story for entertainment. The police arrived at the scene of Summer's abduction only an hour after her parents' report. Unfortunately, they couldn't find the missing woman on the spot. News of the abduction of 25-year-old Summer Inman quickly spread through all the local news portals. Hundreds of concerned Logan residents gathered to help find the missing woman. 3 days passed. The hope of finding her unharmed dwindled. Her parents tried not to think about the worst. Just a few weeks before her disappearance, Summer Inman posted a joint photo with her new lover, Adam, and her son and daughters on her Facebook page. You could agree that in this photo, they looked like a truly happy family. Will Inman also thought the same when he saw a new post on Adam Peters' Facebook page, as he was friends with him on the platform. One might wonder why a husband would add his wife's new lover as a friend on Facebook. It turns out that Summer had met Adam before making the decision to leave her husband. A year ago, in the spring of 2010, Adam Peters, who had no stable job and made a living with odd jobs, was hired to take care of the Inman family's house and property. It was there that he met Summer and fell in love with her. He began to show her signs of affection. At first, she rejected him, but eventually gave in. In Summer's diary, there's an entry, "When I looked into his eyes, I realized that the devil had taken hold of me. I didn't listen to what God was telling me. I tried to stop. My mind screamed, 'Run, get out of here right now,' but instead, I stayed and allowed him to embrace me and then go deeper. I deeply regret it. I am guilty." Meeting Adam marked the beginning of the end of Summer's life in the Inman family. She realized she wanted to be happy and loved, so she filed for divorce, which dragged on for quite some time. Just 5 days before Summer's disappearance, Will objected to paying $150 a month in child support for each child and requested to lower the amount to $50. At that time, his total annual income was only $6,000, or $500 per month. Will Inman and his parents tried to gain full custody of their son and daughters, but the judge denied their request. Bill and Sandra, after parting ways with their grandchildren, lost weight and looked visibly diminished. Everyone who knew them said in unison that their grandchildren had been the meaning of their lives. In March 2011, after Summer's disappearance, the Inman family was located. All three of them, Bill, Sandra, and Will, were at Bill's 70-year-old mother's house in Jackson County, Ohio. They all claimed in unison that they knew nothing about Summer's abduction. According to the Inman family, on the night when Summer was kidnapped, they had gone to Cleveland to look at a new house for themselves. However, after driving for 3 hours, their car broke down, and they spent the entire night on the street repairing the car, only returning home to Logan in the morning. They explained that they had a good relationship with Summer and rarely had arguments. However, when Adam Peters moved into their home, a dark period began in their lives. All three of them unanimously claimed that Adam was a bad person who had ruined their once happy, devout, and close-knit family. The police noticed that a white Ford Crown Victoria was parked in their yard. They examined the car and confiscated the GPS receiver. Later, it was discovered that on the day of Summer's disappearance, March 22nd, the car was in Logan. In the evening at 5:30, the GPS system was turned off. It was only turned on again on the morning of March 23rd, still in Logan. They couldn't confirm that the Inman family had gone to Cleveland. An examination of their phones also showed that on March 22nd and 23rd, all three of them were in their hometown of Logan. Soon, information emerged that on the morning of March 23rd, at 7:30, the Inman family was at a car wash and had their car's interior fully cleaned. The family consisted of Bill, Sandra, and Will, but Summer was not with them. After the car wash, the family went to an auto repair shop in Cleveland, where they had their tires changed. A worker at the shop found it strange that Bill wanted to replace practically new tires with used ones, claiming he simply didn't like his current tires. It was also known that the Inman family had tried to change the appearance of their car. Bill removed the police spotlight that had previously been installed on the driver's side door next to the side mirror. Bill, Sandra, and Will Inman were arrested and taken in for questioning. Before the arrest, Bill told his elderly mother that they were innocent and that this was a trial from the devil. During questioning, all three of them continued to insist that they were innocent and had no idea who had kidnapped Summer Inman and why. However, after several hours, realizing that they could face the death penalty if their guilt was proven, Sandra Inman confessed to everything. She revealed that it was they who had abducted Summer on the night of March 22nd. The individuals in black masks were her husband, Bill, and their son, Will. Sandra claimed that it was entirely her idea to abduct and intimidate Summer, but things didn't go as planned. When they forced Summer into the car's back seat, Will used plastic ties to bind her hands, legs, and neck. He wanted his wife to be scared and to allow him to see their son and daughters. At some point, Will noticed that Summer was losing consciousness. He wanted to cut the ties with a knife and free her. Will shouted to his mother, "Oh my God, Mom, where's the knife? I can't find it." All three of them were terrified and searched for the knife, but moments later, Summer stopped breathing and died. Sandra claimed that their intention was never to kill her, they just wanted to scare her and resolve their custody issues, allowing them to see their grandchildren on weekends. On March 29th, 2011, 7 days after the abduction, Sandra Inman led investigators to the location where they had hidden Summer's body. It turned out that Summer was placed in a septic tank on the premises of the Scania of Faith Church, located near Nelsonville, about 30 kilometers from the bank where Summer worked. Bill Inman had participated in the construction of this church. It was also where Bill and Sandra had gotten married 28 years ago. The Inman family had been attending this church every Sunday for many years, and Bill played musical instruments there. When the police removed the concrete slab, unscrewed the 6 bolts from the metal tank cover, and opened it, they immediately discovered Summer's legs. She had been simply thrown headfirst into the septic tank. She was wearing the same clothes she had on during her last day at work. Her black shirt had the words, "I don't have a problem with anger, I have a problem with idiots." The autopsy confirmed that Summer had indeed been strangled. There were no other injuries on her body except for the marks on her neck, hands, and feet, indicating that she had been tied up. Sandra admitted that initially, she had planned to order them to dispose of the body in a river, but then thought it would be safer to hide it in the septic tank near the church, where no one would likely find it. Sandra expressed deep shame for her actions and admitted her guilt. Soon after, the trial took place. Bill Inman, aged 49, and Will Inman, aged 28, both pleaded not guilty to causing Summer's death. They barely spoke during the hearings, showed no emotions, and avoided eye contact with Summer's parents. Sandra Inman, aged 47, was the only one who admitted guilt and tried to take full responsibility. She continued to claim that it was her idea to scare her daughter-in-law. Before the verdict was announced, Sandra turned to Summer's parents in tears, begging for forgiveness. Her words were difficult to understand due to tears and emotions, but it was clear that she deeply regretted her actions. Sandra confessed that Summer was like a daughter to her, and if she could turn back time, she would never repeat her horrific plan. In 2012, all three were found guilty. Bill and Will Inman received life sentences without the possibility of parole. Sandra Inman received a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 15 years. All close friends and parishioners knew that there was a patriarchal system in the Inman family. None of them believed that Sandra had initiated this, as everyone knew that Bill was the head of the family, and the final word was always his. As for Will, they said he had been a spoiled child from childhood, and his parents fulfilled all his whims. Those close to the family believed that Sandra tried her best to take the blame on herself to minimize the sentences for her men. Alex, Kelly, and Alana are still being raised by Summer's parents. It took them a long time to explain to the grandchildren where their own mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather had gone.